Hello, my name is Kevin and welcome to the Love Decanters channel. So this is a video about using your decanters. Now, I'm doing this in kind of response to a comment someone made on one of my videos saying that their mum has a fancy decanter and that she never uses it, it's just for looks, and yeah, that's a bit sad. So I have some that I wouldn't use and I will show you why. But I do have some that I do use. In fact, what I like to do, because obviously I've got way more than I'm ever going to use, and so what I do is I just pick one and go, yeah, I haven't used this one before, and I'll pull it out and use it. And so I thought, right, I'll show you how I use them, okay, because I use some things need filtering, and I'll show you how I do that. But also, yeah, I'm not an alcoholic. I don't actually, I've got all these decanters, but I don't actually drink that much. So like I used 2 decanters over Christmas. One of them's very big, but then there was going to be a few of us, so that's, but yeah, it's a thing. I would like people to use them, but you don't have to use them all the time. I wouldn't use them for spirits where it's going to sit there because there's some concerns about lead and stuff like that. I don't think it's a real concern, but yeah, I drink so little, it probably takes me a year to get through a bottle of brandy, maybe even 18 months longer, 2 years maybe, I don't know. It just sits in there until it gets almost empty and then I buy another one. But yeah, I just have the odd little tipple just very occasionally, maybe every couple of weeks. So yeah, I am not a big drinker. So yeah, so I don't use decanters for my spirits because my bottles last forever. I've got several bottles, and maybe once a year I'll buy a bottle of something that needs replacing. That's the level I'm at. Yeah, quite low. And I don't even drink beer, so it's just wine, port, spirits. So yeah, that's how it is, I'm afraid. So it does seem weird, this is my hobby, but this is the fact of it. So what I'll do, I will show you the 2 decanters that I used over Christmas, and what else, and I'll show you how and why I use this funnel. Yeah. So let's get on and have a look at the 2 decanters I use, and maybe I'll show you a few others as well while I'm about it. So these are the 2 decanters that I used at Christmas. I took this one to my sister's with a Magnum bottle of wine, and we poured it out and it looked really good. It weighed a ton. In fact, when I was pouring it the first few times, my hands were shaking because it was so heavy. And then I used this one here later. And yeah, with just 1 bottle, so that's easy enough. And this is a modern, probably vintage decanter. I don't know who made it. It looks like something Dartington would make, but they don't, sadly. I've not been able to figure out who made it, but it is a very nice quality decanter. One of the criteria I have for using a decanter is that the stopper fits well, and both of these do. So this one's like 190 years old, and it's got a polished, you can actually see a lot of, focus it there, it has got a lot of chips on the end, but it does have a polished stem and it fits really nicely. And it's one of a pair. So the thing about using something that's not, don't use something that's valuable. This is one of a pair. So a pair is worth 3 times as much as a single. So this is a desirable decanter in itself, in that it's part of a pair. So breaking it would be very sad because obviously you're breaking a pair. Now, so the value is not the concern for me. It's, does the stopper fit nice and tight? Because if you don't drink all the contents in one go, you don't want air getting in and having to throw it away the next day. Yeah, so that's my only concern, and I will show you a few where they look good, but yeah, I wouldn't use them. And anyway, so let me show you how I use them. So if you have an older wine, something like a Claret or Malbec or something that's like 5, 6, 7 years old, it tends to get some sediment in it. So one of the things, or you're using some port that's older, I use a funnel like this. This is a handmade funnel. It's probably Victorian. It's got a lovely ripply surface. Don't think that's for anything, because if it's swirled around, I'd think, oh yeah, that helps it aerate the wine or whatever, but it doesn't. It just goes straight down, so it's not for that. It's just, you just put that in there like that. And then the next thing I use is a bit of, communal garden kitchen towel. I do this. Some people are going to really cringe because they're saying you should use muslin and blah, blah, blah. I think this works just as well. I just create it into a little cone like that and pop it in like that. And it just pops itself in as you use it anyway. So then you just pour your wine into the top of that. What you end up with is a whole bunch of sludge in the bottom here, which you want to keep out of the wine. So yeah, make sure your kitchen towel doesn't have any things to make your hands soft. Don't use tissues because they usually have something in them to stop you from rubbing your nose and stuff. Nothing with any kind of just plain paper kitchen towel. Yeah, nothing fancy. And and don't be used already. So that's it. And then you can just toss that at the end. Unless you want to put the stuff in the gravy or something, but yeah, that's up to you. That's a taste thing. But anyway, that's how I do it. Just filter it with this and a nice little funnel. But you could use any funnel. It doesn't have to be a fancy glass one. You could use a plastic funnel if you want. It just gets the job done, really. So I'm going to show you a couple of decanters of the type that I tend not to use. So yeah, this is a lovely late 18th century tapered decanter, and it's one of a pair. So I know this stopper's original and right and everything, but it still doesn't fit tightly. Look, it kind of wiggles a little bit this way, but it wiggles quite a lot from side to side. So, not airtight. Actually, it's a nice shape though for using, but yeah, it's not airtight. It was never really fitted that well. The bit where it actually fits in is quite thin. That's why. So, yeah. And the other kind I tend not to use is shaft and globe. The reason is that they're difficult to clean out afterwards. They've got this really long neck, and then you've got a round body. Some of them have got quite a sharp edge here. So, yeah, it just makes them awkward. I mean, this fits really nicely. This is an Edwardian Thomas Webb one. It's a really high quality one. But, yeah, just the shape is awkward to clean, that's all. And so I just tend to shy away from using them, even though they quite often have a really good stopper fitting. So there is something else I need to tell you, and that is when you've finished using your decanter, you need to give it a good rinse out with clean water. Yeah, but you will have a problem in that the inside of the decanter needs to be really dry before you put the stopper on. Yeah, it must be very dry. Okay, I don't mean just, there's a bit of water, it doesn't matter. It does matter. A little bit of water does matter, because what happens is, as it gets light and dark and the house heats up and cools, the bit of water that's in the bottom of there evaporates and then it recondenses when the decanter gets cold. And every time it evaporates, it etches the glass very small amount, and eventually you end up with a cloudy decanter, and you can't clean that out. So how do you make sure it's really dry? Now, one of the things you'll find is that if you just try and tip all the water out and get it all out and just leave it to dry, it takes forever, and then you'll see water condensing on the inside, and that's a pain. Now, you can get a special brush, a drying brush, which is bent, and you can change the shape of it and dry around the inside, but even that doesn't get it absolutely perfect. What you want to do is get 2 sheets of kitchen roll, roll them up at 45 degrees like this. This is one I've previously used. You roll them up at 45 degrees because it's going to get damp, and you want the seam not to be straight across, because what you don't want is for you to go to pull it out and it's a bit damp and it just pulls in half. But if the seam is running round at 45 degrees, it's less likely to be pulled in half, because the seam runs from down here to up here somewhere at an angle curled round inside. So you just shove this down inside, and what happens if you do this and then you leave it somewhere with a bit of light on it to dry, what happens is when the water evaporates and then later at night recondenses, it recondenses on the tissue more than it does in the bottle. So eventually you'll be able to take the tissue out, it'll be damp. And generally what I tend to do is just turn it over and shove the other end in, leave the damp end out to dry out, so to speak, and just carry on the process. And within a couple of days it will be super dry inside, and then you can go back to having it as a display item with the top on. Needs to be absolutely completely dry inside. You need to be really certain of that, okay, before you go leaving the top on for a long length of time, because you will damage your decanter in the long term if you don't do that. So that's my only kind of my rules of using my decanter. Use one with a stopper that works really right, and when you finish using it, make sure it's very dry before you go sticking that top back on. So there we go. So there you have it, how I use my decanters, which is not that frequently because I don't drink that much, but I do use them, and you have to use them carefully is the answer. Yes. And the other thing is that I do read your comments, and I do think about what people say when they comment, and occasionally I do something about it, like make a video, because that in this world that is my answer for everything. That's an interesting question, I'll make a video. So anyway, I didn't use any references. I did use one of, because I've got a few of these trusty funnels, and so these funnels are not that expensive. I found I need to get rid of a few of mine because I've got about 7, I think, or something like that. And why do I need 7? I don't know. And anyway, they are nice. That's it. They're just so tactile with these ribs, because they're handmade and everything. They're nice. But anyway, and it just gives you a bit of, if you're using something like this, it just gives you a bit of ceremony. I'll get my special funnel out as well as using my decanter. I do have a Georgian silver plate one, and I'll show that in a video at some point. But those can be very expensive. I bought mine yonks and yonks ago, and I've always tried to see if I can snatch another one off eBay the same way, and never again. So yes, I didn't pay much for mine, and it looks 200 years old because it's been used for 200 years. I think it's not in the best condition, but anyway, I think I will wrap up on that point. So please remember to like and subscribe because it helps my channel. It is free, so it doesn't cost you anything to like and subscribe, and it helps YouTube think that my videos are good. Yeah, I would like to think I do my best anyway. Thank you for watching and have a good night. Good night.